Welcome everyone to this ordinary council meeting of Armidale Regional Council on Wednesday the 11th of December. Could I call upon Councillor Endres to provide a civic affirmation?
We, the councillors of the Armidale region, declare that we will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of our community and faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in us to the best of our skill and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Endres, and Councillor McMichael to provide an acknowledgement of country.
We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. The Armidale Regional Community pays tribute to their love of land, love of people and love of culture.
Thank you, Councillor McMichael. I'll call upon the General Manager to make a statement in regard to live streaming.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. The meeting is being audio and video recorded, and the recordings of the non-confidential parts of the meeting will be made available on the internet. No other persons are permitted to record the meeting unless specifically authorised by council to do so. And could all mobile phones and laptops be set to silent, please? Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Mr General Manager. Councillors, I note everyone is here, so there are no apologies or applications for leave. I'll ask the question, although it does get raised again at 7.1. Having reviewed the agenda, do any councillors need to declare any interest? No. All right, thank you. We'll move on to the first report, which is item 5.1, which is the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 27th of November 2024. There is a recommendation on the screen, but do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Widders. We have a motion. It can be seconded by Councillor McMichael. Councillor Widders, anything you might want to say?
Yeah, just quickly, my conflict of interest that I mentioned at the last meeting. In the minutes it says non-pecuniary significant. It should say non-pecuniary non-significant. If I didn't make that known at the last meeting, I do apologise, but yeah, it should say non-significant in it. Thank you to Councillor Redwood for picking that up for me.
Thank you, Councillor Widders. I'm sure that the team will correct that. Any other comments in regards to those minutes? Right, thank you. Having noted Councillor Widders, Councillor Robinson.
No, it's just a comment that I noticed that in the City of Sydney, when they record their minutes, an abstention is noted as abstained, taken as a vote against the motion. And it would be possibly more accurate if in future we consider doing that as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll take that as a comment. We can review that, whether it's the system that records it, but for those watching at home, it's the same. The same thing applies. If somebody abstains, it is recorded as being against the motion here, but it's not spelt out whether that's actually a vote against or an abstention that's led to someone being against the motion. I'll just pause for a moment in case there is a tech glitch. The screen keeps coming on and off.
That's just in here, so verifying online. I will work on that in a second.
All right, so that I was too loud on YouTube. There's something I thought I'd never say about myself. All right, councillors, having noted Councillor Robinson's comment as well, let's put this to vote. All those in favour of accepting those minutes? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. Councillors, item 7.1 is a standing item, just around ethical decision making and conflicts of interest, and councillors are being asked to note that report. Can I have a mover for a motion to that effect? Thanks, Councillor Gadders, and the seconder can be Councillor Imad. Anything to say, Councillor Gadders? No. All right, well, Councillor Imad? No. All right, let's put it to a vote just to note this standing item. Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. Item 7.2 is the council actions report. Details are on page 7 of the agenda and page 18 of the attachments. The report details the actions taken by council officers to implement the council resolutions for that period from October 2024, where the recommendation is that council notes the report summarising those actions. Do I have a motion either to accept that or a new one? Thanks, Councillor Redwood. I'll take that. Is accepting that recommendation. Seconded was Councillor Imad. So, Councillor Redwood, anything to say? I think. Councillor Imad? No, right. Councillors, let's put this to the vote to adopt the council actions report. Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Councillors, item 7.3 is a New England Weeds Authority update. Unless people have gone into, and I'm again speaking to those watching at home, a supplementary report was only provided a few days ago. 7.3 was a placeholder. I will ask the tech. 7.4. It's coming to 7.4. That'll be why. Thank you. All right. 7.3 is redundant. 7.4. That's all right. Thanks, Mr. GM. I'll just pull it up on my screen. All right, 7.4 is just around a proposal to dissolve the New England Tablelands County Council, or the New England Weeds Authority. There's a fairly detailed officer's recommendation. There is also a long and storied background to this. It probably would be fair to say that this item here really signals the death throes of that organisation and is seeking to, as best we can, provide an elegant dismount. There is a recommendation there on the screen, but could I have a motion, please, either what's on the screen or something different? Can I seek a motion? Thanks, Councillor McMichael, and a second, it can be Councillor Robinson. Councillor McMichael, I guess you're putting what's on the screen. Do you wish to speak to that at all?
The NECC has been going for a long time. It's regretful. I think the previous council said the same thing. It's regretful that the whole thing has come to be dissolved. I think that it's been long discussed how we should do this. And I think that the way that we are doing it and splitting it in individual councils will be the best for the region. Weeds are a significant issue for everybody. And I'm sorry that we can't do it together, but we will build partnerships between the councils and do the best we can. And this is a great outcome for a dreadful situation.
Thank you, Councillor McMichael. Councillor Robinson, do you wish to say anything?
Yeah, I agree entirely with Councillor McMichael. It is rather sad that it's come to this, and I do hope that some of the prevention work that was carried out by the New England Weeds Authority, such as the tropical soda apple, which could be a serious problem if it gets out of hand, will still be able to be done somehow or other, and that will probably require some cooperation. So let's see what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a question for
Yes, Councillor Witters, would you like to?
Yes, I would. The writer of the recommendation. Point E, just checking those 4 positions moving across to Armidale Regional Council, will they only work in the Armidale Regional Council area, or will they continue to cover the same area as what NIWA was doing?
Thank you. Through me to the General Manager, who was the author of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Gaze. No, it's proposed at this point that those 4 officers will work purely in the Armidale Regional Council area.
Right. You have it, Councillor Witters. Councillor Gathers.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Look, I too hope for a swift resolution in this to formally dissolve, the prior Weeds Authority. As per the supplemental information that we were given here, and I quote, the current NIWA situation continues to represent a significant unbudgeted financial burden on all the constituent councils. And if we read between the lines, the numbers are quite clearly outlaid there. We had budgeted an additional $500,000. We've had a couple of payments since. So we're up over $1 million now in terms of aid and assistance to clean this place, to clean this authority up. It's also further said in here that if we elect to move forward on this today, the dissolution could take until March of 2025. So I just wanted to put all that on the table because the longer it takes to dissolve the previous Weeds Authority, the more this is going to cost all the councils that remain upon her. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gadders. All right, councillors, I think that is a fair summation. There is an ongoing cost. I think the public at large should be assured that the weeds are still being managed. The constituent councils are still funding the organisation to get there. There is a bit of a runoff to happen and further dissolution of assets. All right, let's, given it was moved by Councillor McMichael, seconded by Councillor Robinson, let's put that to the vote to accept or reject the recommendation, or the motion actually. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. This brings us to item 8.1, which is the first quarter budget review. Details are from page 9 of the agenda and page 49 of the attachments, and council is being asked to note the review, note the financial position and resolve to adopt amendments in the budget in accordance with these quarterly budget review statements. So each quarter we'll get a new one that requires a budgetary update. There is a recommendation on the screen, but do I have a motion? Someone to move something? Thanks, Councillor Gadders, seconded Councillor Redwood. Councillor Gadders, are you moving what's on the screen? On the screen. Thank you. Anything to say?
I guess I will quickly. Just thank you for the effort gone into QBR1. From my prior experience with organisations in QBRs, it's nice to see our quality of QBR and updates is levelling out, which means the business is in much better shape. It's not up and down and backwards and forwards. It's actually starting to level out. So congratulations to all those involved.
Thank you, Councillor Gadders. Councillor Redwood. Nothing. Councillor Robinson.
Yeah, and I did have a couple of questions. One was in relation to the Brilliant Region strategy with the smart poles and smart benches, because I was looking at, I've got a copy of the Brilliant Region strategy in front of me, and I just wondered where you could point to me to this extra $200,000, which bit of the Brilliant Region strategy it was going to be listed under.
Mr Mayor, can we take that on notice, please?
Okay, thank you. We'll take that one on notice. Thank you, Councillor Robinson.
And the only other one was just maybe a comment about the, if I can get back to my, try this. Was on the refurbishment of Markham Street. And because what I was thinking of was that given that we do have in the bicycle strategy or the active transport strategy, one of the responses to submissions was that part of the strategy was to do a design process for an experimental design between Markham Street and on Markham Street between Beardy and Rosden to make it cycle-friendly and serve as a possible model for cycle-friendly treatment for other locations in Armidale. And I think there's some this was based on a submission, and I think the submission basically was to have parking on the western side of Markham Street in that particular section, then say a green coloured cycle lane, then 2 travelling lanes, then another bike lane, and then assuming more on-street parking was needed, it would be, you'd extend the nature strip out and maybe identify, say, 6 parking spaces in there, which would actually be quite ample, given that there's a 51 car space car park right at the corner of Beardy and Markham Street. And I think that, and I'm just urging people to think about that possible layout and whether it is feasible.
Councillor Robinson, we're speaking about the quarterly budget review.
Yeah.
This seems very tangential.
Well, yeah, but there is $700,000 in it for this bit, and this is the only time that it would be economically inefficient to do it. So that's why I'm just suggesting it here rather than maybe in the active transport strategy. And I was just going to say that, you know, this layout, that suggested layout might be attractive and safe, and it would be far better than it is now. And also because, as somebody who cycled used a bike as my main means of transport for over 50 years, and I've also written scientific and publications. I've analysed injury stats in Armidale and elsewhere, and I do know that bike facilities on one side of the road are terribly, terribly dangerous, and I think the active transport strategy should be encouraging cycling, not driving people off cycling as would happen if we build unsuitable facilities. And I would also encourage people to look at what happened in Perrott Street, where there was a facility was built there, and it was probably even better than a much better facility than Markham Street. But at the same time, there was some evaluation. And
Councillor Robinson, I really, we're going very tangential.
Yeah, well,
I think point is made.
I've got less than a minute left, and I was saying.
No, I can pull you up if you're going way off course, and I think we are.
Well, anyway, I urge you to think about that when.
What she's talking about is in the capital program. The SRP projects identified.
Thank you, Councillor Witters. I am aware of that, but there's also an active transport strategy that really overlaps with this. So thank you very much for pointing out that point of order. I'll take it on board.
Well, I will mention it in the active transport strategy then.
Thank you. All right. Councillors, anything else to say on the quarterly budget review? Councillor Witters.
So continuing on from that, just saying that, it was interesting listening to Councillor Robinson's remarks just around the SRV funding for that small section of road. Just thinking that small section of road has got a raised pedestrian crossing on it, because there was, from memory, a few accidents that have happened in that stretch of road. Maybe later on in the piece, when you talk about it again, Councillor Robinson, you mentioned car parks, green bike lanes, and then driving lanes. Maybe you can mention how that continues to make that section of road a safe space for all users, when we talk about it a bit later on.
Very good. All right, councillors, all those in favour, sorry, let's put this motion to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously.
Order. I didn't vote.
Okay. So that was an abstain?
Oh, I'm quite happy to vote against it if necessary, but I'll abstain.
Well, can you just sorry, tell me what you do.
I'll abstain.
Thank you. All right. I declare that carried 8-1, noting Councillor Robinson abstained, which is voting against the motion in effect. All right, councillors, item 9. Hang on. Item 9.1, the active transport strategy, putting this up for adoption. Details are page 15 of the agenda and page 61 of the attachments. There is a recommendation on the screen, but I understand that there is an alternate, there is a motion to be put. And so, Councillor Robinson, you'd like to move?
Yeah, I'll move the alternative motion if that, which is just, it should come up on the screen. Which just says, instead of replacing E with that point there, which is noting the intention to incorporate actions in the strategy to collect data on injuries, near misses and active transport usage, that Council considers a key pillar working group to work with the community on a review of the plan within 2 years. So excellent. I'll move that if I can get a seconder.
Thank you. All right, so that's being moved. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Councillor McMichael. All right, so we now have a motion on the table. Councillor Robinson, would you care to speak about this in relation to the active transport strategy and, let's say, anything on Markham Street?
Yeah, well, I think we do need an active transport strategy. Everybody knows that cycling is good for your health, and active transport in general is good for your health. People who are take part in active transport live longer, healthier lives. There may be a small risk of injury in general, but I mean, for every possible life-shortening injury, you find you've got 20 or more life years gained by the activity. So you're less likely to have a heart attack, a stroke, and all the other things. So it's in Council's interest to promote active transport. I mean, the trouble comes when we basically have things like Markham Street, where we need to try and do things effectively and efficiently. And I think that would be done by doing the promised experiment to find out what would work there, and just do it. As I said, it was basically parking on one side, a cycle lane, 2 travelling lanes, another cycle lane, and the parking on the other side, extending the nature strip so that you can have parking indented in the nature strip, and then the grass, when there isn't parking, will go straight to the green coloured cycle lane, which I think will be more attractive. It will make it safer for pedestrians, because one of the problems, and that was why the pedestrian was killed there and why we have a wombat crossing, was basically because car parking was obscuring the view of the driver. So the driver came up and hit the pedestrian because the pedestrian wasn't seen. And this layout would probably make it safer and easier for pedestrians and everybody using that area. And if it works, and that's the thing, we can do an experiment and find out what people think about it. Because time and time again, we've built things and then find that they don't work as well as we'd like, and that just wastes money. And as I say, a good example was Parrott Street, whereby there was quite a lot of money was spent building an off-road cycleway, and certainly some cyclists went there and counted who was there. And on one day in mid-March, you found that, and this is the only time we've done it because it was voluntary labour, there was 7 cyclists and every single one was on the road, not the cycleway. And so what we need to do, if we'd had a principle of evaluating off all our facilities, finding out what cyclists use, what they don't use, where they go, that would be really money well spent. We'd get a much better active transport strategy in the long run. And I think option E, that we actually incorporate the actions on collecting data on injuries, near misses, because we don't have that at the moment. The only time I've collected it for about 10, 15 years going back, but we haven't got any recent data for the previous 10, 15 years. And then we work with the community to get a review of the plan within 2 years. So I think that's the best solution for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Robinson. Councillor McMichael, you were the seconder. Anything to say?
Look, the draft active transport strategy has been terrific. We worked with the community, and the KPYG groups have been really useful in getting community groups together and finding gaps in the strategies, and I look forward to that happening. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillors, anyone else wish to speak around the active transport strategy before it comes up for adoption? righty. Well, let's put it to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Item 9.2 is the appointment of council nominated members for the regional planning panel. So the recommendation is that is similar to what happened last term, that the council nominate the mayor and the deputy mayor as the two representatives to the regional planning panel. We also have to nominate two alternate members for the regional planning panel. So we might do this in seriatim, so we'll do A and then B. I've had one councillor, being Councillor Gadders, nominate himself as the alternate, but when we get to B, we'll see if there's any other councillors that want to do it. If there's only one, then it'll be Councillor Gadders and that person. If we end up with three, then we'll put it to the vote. So we'll do this in seriatim. So councillors, just part A of this, can I have a recommendation, please, along the lines of part A? Mover, thanks, Councillor Witters, second is Councillor Redwood. Just see if the tech's okay with how this is. Yes. We are. Councillor Witters, do you wish to speak to?
Yeah, I'd like to move a motion to pass a recommendation as written, voting and talking in seriatim on points A and B. This is actually, this panel is actually, I think, a good thing. When you think about what it does, it decides on developments, I think, from memory. The next level up from us, we go to a certain level, and then this panel then will go from a certain monetary level to up to, I can't remember the dollar values. I think it might be for a fair bit in it, but it's the next step up from us, and I think it provides transparency. So say, just off the top of my head, Glen Innes Council want something or have something major, then it goes to this panel to sort of decide, or if Armidale Regional Council wants or has a major development coming up, then this panel will decide on it. So I think it's a really good idea, and unfortunately I don't have the time, but if any of the other councillors want to put themselves up for an alternate member, I think it's a good opportunity to learn some new skills in it, having been involved in a little bit in my first term. So yeah, I think this is just a good thing to have in regards to local government. And one thing that has been passed around a lot in my council term is transparency, and I think this provides a fairly good transparent design for bigger developments.
Thanks, Councillor Witters. Councillor Redwood, you were a seconder, I believe.
I was. I think I am. The function of the panel is important. As you said, Councillor Witters, it's to make decisions on developments that are at a higher level of spend than that can be made at the council itself. And I must say, in the last term, I think there were only 2 or 3 decisions that the Mayor and I were involved in, but they were important ones, the ones that went through. And so I agree that because it's a broader panel of people, it's not just the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor of Armidale region on there, that its function is a critical one.
Thank you, Councillor Redwood. And you raise a very good point for those that are outside of council and watching this. The Mayor and the Deputy are 2 of 5 people on that regional planning panel. There is a chair, and the others are usually from well outside the region, they all have significant planning experience. So, all right, if there's no other, nothing else to say from any of the councillors, let's put point A to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. And Councillor Witters, you've moved and seconded B.
Yeah, just as I said, encourage those of you who have maybe the time to be the second alternate to put your hand up, because I think it's a good experience.
Thank you. All right, councillors. As I said, Councillor Gadders has thrown his hat in the ring. Are there any other councillors that are interested in being on that planning panel? Councillor Robinson? All right, well, that's the 2. So I guess that means that it'll be Councillor Gatters and Councillor Robinson, the two alternate members to the Regional Planning Panel. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. Just make sure, like, are we okay over there, Tech? Thanks. Item 9.3. This is one of those good news stories that we like to pepper throughout the year. The public exhibition of concept plans for upgrades to the old courthouse walkway and courtyard, effectively opening up that section between the mall and Moore Street, where the big pine tree used to be. There are some very good plans, and I suggest anyone that's interested go and have a look at the attachments. From page 361 of the attachments, there's pretty well laid out design plan for what's up there. So there is a recommendation on the screen, but there's a couple of things happening with this motion. One is that we're putting these seeking to put the plans on public exhibition. At the same time, where the council is seeking to apply for a grant, which is up to $300,000. If successful, and we then end up adopting and seeking to go ahead with the walkway, that will cost approximately $700,000. So we'd have a $300,000 grant, and we'd be tapping the developer contribution fund for $400,000 to make it so. Similar to what we've done with the expansion of the Curtis Park playground. So that's an overview about what this is seeking to do. Do I have a motion? And if so, what is the motion? Councillor Redwood. Happy with that being the motion? Yeah. Brilliant, thank you. Excellent.
Sorry, the recommendation is written. Thank you.
Brilliant. A seconder? Thanks, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Redwood, anything to say in this regard?
Well, I mean, the plans that we've seen that have been presented are exciting, and certainly will, if we can pull it off, will make that whole area much more. Will certainly activate that area and make it a lot more attractive than it currently is. It's not usable at the moment to anyone in the public because it's all locked off, and it just creates another connection between Moore Street and the mall, which gives better connectivity to all the people that live here and also those who are visiting. Noting that I guess our local court, which is just down opposite that area now, I guess is frequented by people from outside of Armidale as well. So moving up into the mall and making that accessible. So I think it's a great plan, and let's hope we can bring it to life.
Brilliant. Thank you, Councillor Redwood. Councillor Tabor, anything to say?
Yes, I support Councillor Redwood's comments there, and it's a part of the CBD that I believe needs attention and it's long overdue, so I think it's a great move.
True.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, councillors, anyone else to add? Councillor Witters.
Yeah, I think this is a good move from the council. That little walkway used to be the walk of shame. Now it's a chance for it to be the walk of fame. So those in the community, have a look at it. I know as someone that used to frequent the area to watch people on the walk of shame for entertainment, some better entertainment up through that laneway will be good.
Perfect, thank you. Councillor McMichael.
Yeah, look, the designs are terrific, and I think we've incorporated some of the public suggestions that were taken during the public's ability to look at it, the courthouse last year, and it's a great building, heritage listed, and we've incorporated those ideas, and it's a great plan.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Councillor Robinson.
I was just wondering about the timing of all this, in the sense that the grant has to be submitted by the 30th of January. So are you trying to get the 28-day period of public exhibition before the closing of the grant period, so you can have some sort of semi-half finalised design to submit, or how will that work?
Thank you.
But I will say we definitely do need an improved walkway.
Brilliant. Thank you. Chief Officer Boyce.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, that's absolutely right, Councillor Robinson. The idea is to incorporate any feedback in time to submit that grant application.
So when do you plan to have the closing date then? Because it's important to make sure everybody knows if it's an early closing date with not long after Christmas before you've got to put in your submission.
Through you, Mr Mayor, as soon as possible, we'll get it up on public exhibition, so it'll just be a function of how quickly we can get it up. So if it's in the next couple of days, it'll be 28 days from then.
Thank you. All right, councillors, if there's no further comment, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. And fingers crossed for the grant application. All right, councillors, item 10.1, which is the disclosure of the pecuniary interest and other matters for the newly elected council. There is a recommendation that council note these disclosures. For those watching at home, details page 29 of the agenda and 369 of the attachments. Can I have a mover for something, please? Thank you, Councillor Redwood, and a seconder. Thanks, Councillor McMichael. Councillor Redwood, anything to say? Councillor McMichael?
Just for the public, these are statutory documents that we all have to do. Everyone has to do them, and everyone can look at them. Cheers.
Thank you. All right, councillors, let's put it to a vote. Oh, sorry, Councillor Imode.
Mr Mayor, I note that I did not fill out the income from council. So I don't know what to do next with that.
What we might do is...
Forgot about it.
That's all right. I think many of us have gone before, have done the same thing. We can get you to update that prior to the next meeting. So thank you. We'll note that, but get it updated. All right, councillors, all those in favour, please. Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. All right, councillors, item 10.2, which is the public exhibition of the Integrated Planning and Reporting Draft Community Plan. So, councillors, as you're aware, the officers have been out in the community just updating the 10-year community plan just with this new term of council. So they're seeking an endorsement to put this on public exhibition through until from tomorrow through until the 7th of February, and then a further report will come probably to the February meeting just about that 10-year community plan and where we're at and any updates there. So that's the recommendation. Do I have a motion? Thanks, Councillor Robinson. You'll be moving what's on the screen?
I'm moving as recommended.
Thank you. And a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Gadders. Councillor Robinson.
Well, I do believe this is really, really important, and I also believe, at least in this case, that the submissions will run until the 7th of December, which is good. And I do hope that lots and lots of people will go through the plan and let us know exactly what they want and what changes we need to make, because I think there still are some changes that need to be made. And I also hope that once we've got all the submissions in, maybe council can have a workshop on it so that we can get the plan that the community wants and deserves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right.
Just brief.
Councillor Gadders.
Just briefly, Mr Mayor, just Councillor Robinson, a slight amendment there. Public exhibition goes through until the 7th of February.
You mentioned 7th
For those online, you've got a little bit more time after you've done your Christmas shopping and putting it all away to get these submissions in.
You didn't say what year, did you? All right, councillors, anyone else wish to say anything before this goes on public exhibition? All right, let's put it to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. Item 10.3, which is in relation to two meetings of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. So council is being asked to note it's all in the one, we've got 2 points there. Council is being asked to note the minutes of the ARIC meeting held on the 18th of November. That is a recommendation. Do I have a mover? Thanks, Councillor Gadders, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Redwood. Councillor Gadders, anything to say there? Councillor Redwood? All good. Thank you. I think we all appreciate the work that the ARIC do. All right, councillors, let's put this to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Item 10.4 is the Integrated Planning and Reporting Delivery Program and Operational Program. So the details of this are from page 37 of the agenda and 505 of the attachments. It's effectively, and this is in the attachments, you'll see it, it's effectively a status report on the council's operation plan, and with a bit of a traffic light system as to how far we've progressed through each of those items. So the report really is just for the financial, it's a progress report from April to June. It's that quarterly one there. So there is a recommendation that we note that report. And so do I have a motion? Thanks, Councillor Robinson. Moving what's on the screen?
Yeah, no, I just want to ask a question as well.
Sure.
Which was basically in relation to a supplier being engaged to provide a base map for modification and updates for the CBD treatlands, and then expanded to Uni, Pine Forest, possibly Dumaric down. And I was just wondering where that was at, because it sort of suggested it was finished and then it obviously wasn't finished, or maybe the map was finished and the walking tours and the Visit Armidale website weren't finished. So just wondered where that was quite at, because it looked like an exciting project.
Should we get a motion going first and then ask that question?
You're going to take this anyway, so, but move it first then, yeah.
Let's move it first. Do we have a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Redwood. So we're noting that. So given that you moved that, Councillor Robinson, and you unfortunately said I'll ask you a question, I have absolutely no answer for that, so I'll throw it maybe to...
Mr. Mayor, we can take that on notice and come back to
take that on notice. You've got that recorded detail. Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Robinson. Does anyone else have any specific questions or comments in relation to the status report?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
All righty. Let's put that to the vote then. All those in favour of noting the status report? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Right, another good news story, item 10.5. This is the Armidale Regional Council's Community Small and Support Grants allocation of funds. So there is a recommendation around this, which was how the council approved the distribution of $50,000 that was budgeted for these particular grants. I note that there was a total of $67,000 of applications, and I thank the committee that made these decisions. But it is, I do want to note as well that a really valuable and valid part of council's operation is to provide the spark for the community to be activated, and these grants go some way towards that. So that's a great thing. There is a recommendation on the screen. Do I have a motion? Thanks, Councillor Tabor, and a second it can be Councillor Imad. Councillor Tabor, do you wish to speak to this at all?
Just to say that I think these grants are becoming more and more, I suppose, important as time goes on. I know a lot of these groups have been struggling over the last 2 or 3 years, so it's certainly a great thing that the council is doing.
Thank you. Councillor Imad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to note a point that being on the panel, there was I noted that there was only one particular application out of Armidale, and that being from Gyra. So out of the, I think, 20 odd, there was only one. So I'd like to encourage all those community and charities out there to get engaged and put an application, because it's a wonderful program. $50,000 is a lot of money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor McMichael.
I'd like to say that of the groups that did apply, several applied a couple of times, and we did try our best to give everyone some money, and so I thought it was great to see all the groups applying, and we also tried. With some groups, rather than giving them money, giving them in-kind support that council could do. So, so even though some didn't get actual money, they got in-kind support. So it was great. So great to see everyone applying. But like Councillor Ahmed said, it'd be good to see other groups from the region applying. Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, councillors, if there is nothing further to this, let's put it to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Item 11.1, this is a standard report that we're receiving every month. I note that we had a council meeting only 2 weeks ago. With a fair bit of information just regarding this Kempsey Armidale Road restoration project. Do I have a motion that we note that report? Thank you, Councillor Redwood. Seconder. Thanks, Councillor Witters. Councillor Redwood.
No, nothing to say, just as it is written. Thanks.
Councillor Witters.
New, don't think there'll be too much over 2 weeks that has changed since the last report. If there is, it'd be wonderful to hear it, but otherwise, no.
Okay, thank you. All right, councillors, let's put it to a vote. All those in favour of noting the report? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. We now move to, we have 2 notices of motion. So the first one is it's a water report from Councillor Ahmed. So Councillor Ahmed, I might get you to just to move this and speak to it, then seek a seconder, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The water quality in Guyra was a very contentious issue during the election, and it still pops up when I speak to people, and always questions regarding what is being done and what is the council planning. Hence the reasons for my motion. And what I'm trying to do is seek a bit of transparency and a bit of outlook for the future of the water in Guyra. And in the report, I know we've spoken in the briefings that it's a bit broad. I'm happy to have the report address the data, the trends, and the recommendation or the results of those things, and be presented in a report carried out by our experts on council, rather than have an independent party. I'm conscious of the cost. So if we can do it within, and that report will go out to the public with a summary of the conclusion, basically what is happening, why we're having the problem, and what is council going to do next based on the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ahmed. Do I have a seconder? No, thanks, Councillor Robinson. So we now have I guess the motion at foot. Anything further to add from what you've said?
No, that's basically it.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Robinson.
Well, I'm all for transparency and accountability as well, and this will put us on a good path towards finding out if there is a problem, and if so, what we can do about it.
Okay, thank you.
Question for, I suppose, the GM. Just make sure. Is, based off Councillor Ahmed's recommendation that the council staff conduct this, is there already information and readily available that council have, through their own works previously already done, that could answer a lot of these questions already, or will it need to be new work done to test the water quality supply and the distribution network to enter this.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Witters. I think in the main the answer to that is all of this data exists and all of this work done. People should be rest assured that there's significant testing done right across our water network, not just in times of need, just to make sure water quality is up to scratch and up to speed. So I guess in answer to your question, it won't take a lot to pull this data together. There may be a little bit of additional work that's required, but we've got the staff with the skill set internally that can do all of that, pull something together, and hopefully it hits the mark.
I'm satisfied with that. Thank you. Councillor McMichael.
I think that as councillors, we're aware that water has been an issue for us in various ways for a number of years, whether it's through drought, through the quality, and I know that as separate councils we've had to deal with the water in different ways. So it will be good to have this report, and it will be good to have the recommendations. I know that as a council, over the last couple of weeks, we've had an overall picture of the water supply from how it's treated, how it's, and what we need to do overall. Both plants are relatively old, and the Armidale one is older, but water in itself is a really expensive issue. So it'll be good to have the report and have the recommendations and see what happens.
Thank you. All right, councillors, if there's no further comment, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour of accepting this? Thank you. I declare that that one carried unanimously. Second notice of motion is from Councillor Tabor, titled Hydrotherapy Pool. So can I throw it to you, Councillor Tabor, to, I guess, move your notice of motion, but also give us some background, and we'll seek a seconder.
Okay, look, I suppose not a lot more I can add to what I've actually written there, but I'm saying that I've been approached by quite a few people in the last few weeks just asking about the hydrotherapy pool and is it possible to revisit that? So hence the reason for the motion. But I'm saying that also, and a few things to add to that is that we were voted the most desirable place to retire in Australia, and that's ageing people and people who need that sort of treatment. And I think it's the right time. And I know we attempted to do this in the past, but maybe that was the wrong time. I believe it's the right time to try and approach this now. So. Look, yeah, and if we can keep people out of doctor's surgeries, I think that's a very important thing.
Thank you, Councillor Tabor. Do I have a seconder for that? Thanks, Councillor McMichael. Councillor McMichael, do you wish to... Councillor Tabor, now there's a motion there. Do you wish to speak any further and maybe expand on... It seems that from my reading of this in earlier discussions, it's not just the hydrotherapy pool. Whilst it's dressed up as that, what you're actually moving isn't to build a hydrotherapy pool. If you can give us a bit more...
Yeah, look, and I suppose that's all fairly fresh for me. So I've got to say that it appears that, being at the hospital in the past didn't work. And I suppose there's reasons for that. We know it's broken and probably not repairable. But it looks like if we could do this with a total fresh start and being at our swimming complex, I think that would work much better. And I know it's difficult to get our heads around the fact that we probably need to run it and manage it and fund it and everything else. But I think this has been mentioned in this council a few times as I've been here. We have to have a vision. So this is one of those visions.
Thank you. Councillor McMichael, and then we'll come to you, Councillor Gadders.
So as part of the Key Pillar Working Group last year and looking at health and talking to the specialists, the hydrotherapy pool was mentioned as a significant draw card to the region, and so when we lost it, people didn't come here, and that was one of the reasons specialists didn't send people, didn't come here. I think having a hydrotherapy pool would be useful for all kinds of reasons. I mean, the one that we had was old, and its main problems were the cost, the ongoing costs. So it's all very well to build something and put it in, but you've got to pay for it as an ongoing thing. And so when we look at it, we've got to work out who pays for it. So health didn't want to do the ongoing costs. We've got to negotiate who does that and who does it and whatever. So, but I applaud this motion and I hope it goes through.
Terrific. Thank you. Councillor Gadders.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So I absolutely believe in us wanting to progress this. Quite a few people similarly speak to me over this term and last term about wanting to get the hydrotherapy pool up and running, so I'm all for it. I just don't believe that point number 2, as it's written, is really the next step that we've got to go to. And by way of background, in our last term, there was quite a bit of work done and cost, and I do remember the external party that was helping council along the way, in fact, got us to extend their tenure by, I think it was 3 to 6 months at additional cost. So we've actually already spent a sum of money on looking at this particular item. So for me, and was not just hydrotherapy, but it was looking at a larger aquatic facility, both for Armidale and for Guyra, and potentially not only the expansion of those facilities in a stage-wise manner, but also perhaps the operation of those facilities. So I really don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think there was a lot of very good work done, and I think that should be our starting point. So I'm not against this motion. I just don't know whether, stumping up another $250,000 to get us to tender stage is in fact the best next step. I think we might need to try to progress this, but take pause and realise whether that money is required now or whether that money is required, to do something slightly different and get us there faster. So it's a bit of a tough one for me. Like I said, it's the way it's written. It's fairly black and white. Moving this to the tender stage, well, I think we're still quite a ways from the tender stage, and I think we need to pick up the work that's already been done on this and update that to what our current situation is and make sure that we are actually heading down the right path.
Great. Thank you very much. Councillor Ahmed.
I have a question. During the election campaign and as far as last week or last meeting, I had a question by someone about the $400,000 that the previous Labor government or the current Labor government promised in the election campaign. Can you tell us what's happening with that?
I'll go to the General Manager, but I'll just note that this is addressed on page 51, which is part of this notice of motion. So the notice of motion is page 50, and the very top of page 51 addresses exactly that. But I'll throw to the General Manager just to answer Councillor Ahmad's question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, there is an item on page 51, but in a nutshell, all Labor candidates across the state were given an opportunity in the last state election to nominate a project that they would like to see come to fruition. Whether they were successful or not, that money was forthcoming to each of the regions. What was put up for Armidale was a hydrotherapy pool. When we became aware of that funding and starting to act, we didn't really know what that meant. But when we tried to get onto Premier and Cabinet and access that money, what became very apparent was it was for the 400K was for the physical delivery of something, not for the planning and scoping, which was what we were seeking to use that 400K for, because we knew 400K in and of itself wouldn't build a hydrotherapy pool. And so as that work went on for quite a few months to try and to and fro from Premier and Cabinet, we weren't able to get it over the line in terms of the scoping of a broader swimming pool and a sports precinct and a regional aquatic centre. So that money was taken back by, or wasn't distributed out by the government, but it's since been redistributed out to all of the towns through the Northern Tablelands electorate on a population basis, of which we've received about 160,000 of that 400, and that's going to go be used towards Curtis Park Stage 2, the delivery of that project. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Witters.
Yeah, question for the GM or Finance. For part 2, allocating 250,000, looking at the budget, is there scope, because I feel like this is you're going to have to take money from somewhere else to give money to this, or is there a spare 250,000 floating around that doesn't affect another funding part? I feel like if we if we allocate $250,000 for this, it's sort of like taking from Peter to give to Paul. Would that be the case, or is there actually money available on the sidelines for that 250,000, and where would it come from?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. No plans to actually take it from this year's budget. The plan would be to include it as part of the upcoming draft 25-26 budget, and to be allocated through that process.
Thank you. Councillors, any other questions or comments? Councillor Tabor, just one for you. The timing, and it follows on from, I guess, what Councillor Gatter said and Councillor Witters has spoken about as well. The timing there, I take it you're taking the General Manager's recommendation that, if it can fit into the 25-26 budget, then that's what it would be. It might be worth just, and I say this out loud, with item 1, revisiting, establishing the hydrotherapy pool, that if there can be a bit of a workshop and refreshing the memories of the returning councillors, but also a bit of an education for the incoming councillors, the work that's being done just around that. It might, that'll be good for everyone. It'll also help when people come and speak to us about the hydrotherapy pool, as they do, that we sort of know where we're at, what that means. And I probably also want to note that, this item really is about a broader aquatic precinct, of which the hydrotherapy pool could be part of it. So, so my question is, Councillor Tabor, are you're comfortable with that being, for the next financial year, this motion, if you like?
I'm not quite sure what you're saying there, but if you're saying that we defer this motion till then, I mean, if you want to take 2 out of it and we stick with 1 and we revisit this just as
I wasn't.
As a project, I mean, I'm not quite sure what you're saying.
I was just wanting clarity that any money that's being expended would be in the next financial year, and there's the opportunity to educate ourselves between now and the next financial year when we're spending money.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. Yeah,
Okay.
That's
Brilliant. Thank you. Councillor Tabor, can you just switch yours off? Councillor Robinson has a question or a comment.
And I just wanted to question would the plan be to use the same consultants, PCYC, to spend the 250,000, or that would be up in the air, would it?
Mr General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No, not necessarily to use PCYC. I think that has come to, we've come to its natural conclusion, that particular one, but it would be about, we would need to do an expression of interest or go out to tender to find somebody else that can do that work, and we've got a couple of ideas in play with people that we've been speaking to over the last 12 months or so.
Councillor Redwood.
Thanks. I think just a correction, not PCYC, but YMCA was the group that we were working with before. But not that I was eavesdropping, but I did hear Councillor Witters suggest that maybe Councillor Table might want to amend this to put something about the financial year into the motion, so that it's actually quite clear about when we might be reaching into the $250,000 into the 25-26 financial year rather than just open-ended like this.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm quite happy with that. If we want to amend that, that's fine.
So maybe it could be something along the lines of seek to allocate blah, blah, blah. So, and then at the end,
As part of the
That's fine. Thank you.
budget process.
yeah. Could you maybe just flesh that bit out?
Sure. As part of the 25-20, just after the stage, just put as part of the 25-26 draft budget process, we'll nuance that, we'll workshop that, what's the word I'm looking for? We'll finesse that, thank you. We'll finesse that.
Maybe if we can delete 25-26 financial year, thank you, stage, as part of the 25-26
Draft
budget process. There we go. I think that's, we're comfy. All right. So that's Councillor Tabor. You happy with that?
Yes, happy with that. Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McMichael is the seconder. Excellent. All right. Councillors, if there is nothing further, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Which now brings us to, we have two questions for which notice has been given. The first one, item 14.1, council-owned property in Guyra. This is from Councillor Imad. So, Councillor Imad, I guess I'll get you to move this, but council's being asked to note the response. But if you'd like to move this and just say a word, and we'll get a seconder and then vote on it. Councillor Tabor, can you please switch your microphone off?
Oh, sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move this. I just want to see, I know that there is 3 Dutton Parade, which is currently leased, as mentioned in the response. If I was to be asked, will council be able to do something for an incoming doctor, would that be a place that could be set up for a new doctor in town?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not familiar with what kind of condition 3 Dutton Place is in.
Dutton Parade.
A Dutton Parade, I should say. And a lot of those, I'll probably leave it at that. But ultimately, council can do anything that it wishes to do. If that's, I'm not aware of the tenancy currently there or how long it is, but we could find that out for you if council's of a mind to do that. But seeing I've got the mic, it's just I've been in council areas before where council does provide residence for doctors, and it can be quite expensive and quite costly because there's a certain standard that's expected, and I feel like we probably should be right across that and aware of what we might be signing up to if the plan is to do that, because it is quite a financial commitment. As I say, I've been in councils where council have fully funded doctors' residence in the past, and it comes with quite a price tag and quite a commitment.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any further comments around this, Councillor Ryan?
No, that'll be all. I just wanted to see where we sit in case. I will be asked the question at some stage again, so just to be clear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for Councillor Imad's motion, which is to note the response? That was Councillor Robinson. All right. Councillors, let's put this to a vote. All those in favour of noting the response? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Item 14.2, which is a question on notice from Councillor Robinson. Again, Councillor's being asked to note the responses to her 3 questions, but do you wish to move something and speak to it?
No, I'll move it and say thank you for the information.
Terrific. Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Ahmed. All right, councillors, all those in favour of noting those responses? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. Councillors, that brings us to the end of the open session of council. We have one item in closed, but so do I have a motion to move into closed session and ask the public? No, we do. We don't either. Councillors, on that happy note, that brings us to the end of our final ordinary council meeting for 2024. Thank you very much, and I declare the meeting closed at 5:40. Thank you.